Hey, what's up? I am going to do a quick video on my thoughts about abortion. And this is, it's a trending topic in the news lately. And so I figured I might as well get my opinion out there since that's what this channel is for. This is in response. Now, granted, this was written a while ago and I wanted to do a video a while ago, but didn't get around to it earlier. Either way, this is another BYU Political Review article that just blows my mind. The title is pro-choice, not pro-abortion. Bunch of nonsense there. I'm not going to read through this one like I have the other ones because I read through it and then I realized I was looking and there's 3 comments. I did not realize that you could make comments on this website for some reason, but now I do. And so I saw the 3 comments and I was like, whoa, I wonder what people are saying about this. So if you scroll down to the comment section, this guy here, Jacob Jared Kenworthy, pretty much sums up, I'm not going to say I agree 100% with everything he said or whatever, but this is pretty solid. This is about what I would say anyway. And so I figured I might as well give him the credit for it. Not that these thoughts are original to him or unique in any way, but he has saved me some time and effort by basically putting the thoughts that I have in writing for you. So I'll link to this article in the description and you can read this for yourself. He responds pretty well point for point of what this lady here, Katie Clements, says about abortion. I would like to point out real quick before I get to my thoughts that she is another political science major, and I'm losing hope for the political science major at BYU because so far, now granted, I don't really look into it that much, and for the most part, I'm only reading articles out of Political Review that I know I'm going to be able to make a video about, so basically just the stuff I disagree with. But it sure seems like a lot of political science majors are on the left side of politics, and I would even suggest that it's on the far left, which I do not think is a good thing. So I'll put this under the category of BYU Political Review, but I'm not necessarily going to be responding to this because I think that the person that put that comment down below sums up a really good response to the article. But for my thoughts on abortion, we're going to start with the church's handbook, Handbook 2, and the church's official position on abortion. Now, what I usually like to do when it comes to political issues, social issues, moral issues, I tend to look for an official statement or stance from the church, from the First Presidency, and that is in no way, shape, or form me saying that I am passing the buck onto them, that I'm not thinking for myself, I'm just blindly faithful to whatever they say, even though, for the most part, I agree with everything they say, and if I don't, then my goal is to align my thoughts and beliefs with theirs, because I think that is what it means to sustain our leaders. Every general conference where we raise our hand and say that we sustain the prophets, I think that's just an affirmation on my part saying, like, I believe that these people are the ones who are more or less directly communicating with God to receive revelation on these topics, and this is what we have to go off of. And so I usually try to align myself with whatever the church's official stance is, because I do believe that the church is being led by a prophet of God. So in that sense, being aligned with the church is a pretty safe bet. Either way, this is the starting point that I work from. What is the church's official stance? And it's pretty short, so we'll read through it. The Lord commanded, "Thou shalt not kill, nor do anything like unto it." The church opposes elective abortion for personal or social convenience. Members must not submit to, perform, arrange for, pay for, consent to, or encourage an abortion. The only possible exceptions are when pregnancy resulted from forcible rape or incest, a competent physician determines that the life or health of the mother is in serious jeopardy, a competent physician determines that the fetus has severe defects that will not allow the baby to survive beyond birth. Even these exceptions do not justify abortion automatically. Abortion is a most serious matter and should be considered only after the persons responsible have consulted with their bishops and received divine confirmation through prayer. Now, note that that is plural, meaning, I don't know what that popped up for. I think it's because I highlighted it. Yeah, anyway, that is plural. So it is, babies aren't created just by women. It is, in fact, a joint venture between a man and a woman. And so abortion, I'm going to make this video quick. Abortion is not just a woman's choice. Like, there's two parties required to create life, therefore there should be two parties required to make decisions on that life. But I don't want to get hung up on that. We'll continue on. Church members who submit to, perform, arrange for, pay for, consent to, or encourage an abortion may be subject to church discipline. As far as has been revealed, a person may repent and be forgiven for the sin of abortion. Encouragement, I quit popping up. Oops. I don't know what the definition of encourage is in this context. Like, I don't know what classifies something as encouragement, because in my honest opinion, I read this article, pro-choice, not pro-abortion, from Katie Clements. I can't read this in any other way besides encouragement. And I realize, I am pretty sure that's not the way that she is intending it to be interpreted. But that's how it comes across to me, as encouragement. And so, obviously I'm not the one in charge making decisions about church discipline, and I am very grateful for that. But this is basically my stance on abortion, right here. I started with the church's official statement, and it sounds good to me. Now, the only real issue that I have is that I would like to be able to point to this and say this is the official stance, so if you deviate from this, then there's obviously something wrong with your thinking, or you're failing in logic somewhere, because it's pretty easy, if you're not thinking all the way through this, to point at this and say, okay, so you cannot be a member in good faith, in good standing, and be pro-abortion. You just can't do it. And obviously with these exceptions right here, that does not mean that you're pro-abortion if you're for abortion in these exceptions. It means that you're pro-life and there are exceptions. But where my thoughts deviate, I guess you will, from the church, even though this basically summarizes my general thoughts on abortion, the two questions that I think are the only two questions that are relevant to the discussion of abortion is it a life, and when is it a life? That's it. Those are the only two questions that matter. I personally, looking at everything that I've looked at, the research, the science, whatever, I think that life starts at conception. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's not set in stone. I'm open to having my mind changed if anything else comes to light about the process of conception and life. But as of right now, I think that life starts at conception. So when you have that clearly defined starting point for life, purposely ending that life would be a sin. Even though it's an embryo or a fetus or whatever, even though it's inside the woman, it is still a life, and ending it purposely without need is unnecessary and, I would say, a sin. All right, I had to pause the recording for a second. I don't remember exactly where I left off, but we're just going to roll with it. And I'm going to pick up where I think I left off with the two questions and my stance about life beginning at conception, and therefore that's when life starts, so ending it purposely would be wrong and sinful. Again, I don't think that I would classify it as murder, though. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't think it's the same thing as murder. But it is still wrong and a sin in my view. However, I think where I was going at is where I deviate from the church's position is actually from another statement that the church has made. And I remember reading this somewhere else, somewhere more official, maybe. Not that this isn't official, but as you can see, this is from 2005. It's a while ago. And under this fact deal here, so it says the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has no official position on the moment that human life begins. Further, the church has not taken a position on the issue of embryonic stem cell research, so I don't know. I searched for this for a while. I don't know why this isn't under, like, I don't know, abortion versus embryonic stem cell research. Either way, as I pointed out, the two questions that I think are the only questions that are relevant to the discussion of abortion, is it a life and when? Well, according to the church, there's no official position, which means you could, in theory, much to my dismay, because as a pro-life person, I would like there to be a clear-cut statement from the church saying life begins at conception, right? Because then obviously I would be in line with the church, with that's what I believe, and if the church had that stance, then that'd be great. But I do differ in that point that this is just a personal opinion where the church has no official position. Each member is at liberty to make their own opinion. Not that you can't make your own opinion at any other time, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that as much as I disagree with this article, with this position, with the pro-abortion side of things, according to the church's own statement, which I have to admit, I think it is a little bit contradictory to the official stance on abortion. To me, you can't really have these two things. I mean, you can, because I think that what the church is doing with its stance on abortion is being the most conservative, safe option, right? So we don't have an official position on when life begins, but we're going to take the safest way possible. Since we don't have an official position, we'll just be ultra conservative about our estimate and basically make a policy about abortion that is, at least the way I read it, as if life begins at conception. However, the problem with that is that because there is no official position, it's hard to, I think, I've never seen church leaders debate this topic. I mean, maybe they have, and I just haven't looked it up or found it. But you can't really say abortion is wrong and terrible and a sin if you're not even willing to say that it's a life, right? Because if the moment a human life begins is at birth, right? So magically, once the fetus goes through the birth canal, poof, that is when the infant is given the breath of life, right? If that's the moment that life begins, then anything that happens before that, well, it's really fair game, honestly. So you can, I've talked to people on both sides of this, and the pro-life members of the church are very much in favor of this. It's just clear-cut, abortion is wrong, it's a sin. And you shouldn't do it. You should use your civic obligations to vote, vote for laws that ban abortion, make it illegal, whatever. There's that very staunch side of it, and then on the other side, you obviously have the pro-choice people, and there's a lot of accusations from the pro-life side saying you cannot be a member of the church in good standing and support abortion. But just based on the contradiction between the two official church stances, I think you can. I think you can. I am pro-life. I will always have that position, and I will use my vote to support pro-life causes, but I'm not going to go so far as to say that you cannot be a member of the church in good standing and support abortion based on this right here. No official position on the moment human life begins. Now, I think for the most part, everyone would agree that at the latest point for human life to begin is at birth, unless you're the most radical Democrats in New York and Virginia. Apparently, they haven't even considered this, I guess, or they believe that human life begins when the mother declares it so. I don't know how they can justify their positions on some of the legislation that they have passed, are trying to pass, and are looking to pass. But other than that, that's basically my thoughts on abortion. I am pro-life. I think life starts at conception, but you don't have to. You don't have to think that and be a member of the church in good standing. And so I think this is a tough call. It's there's a lot more thoughts I have on abortion, but I've already spent 17 minutes on it, and that's plenty just to get my thoughts and opinions out there. And because ultimately, a lot of the side arguments that happen are ancillary. They're not necessary really to have, and I think it just clouds the ultimate discussion about what is life, when does it start, is a fetus a life, is an embryo a life, and that's really what it comes down to, is when you think it becomes a life. So hopefully that clarified things. If you're a member of the church and you're struggling with this, whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, pro-abortion, and you're clashing with family, friends, whatever, I would recommend that you, either way, if you're pro-life, you look at these two things and realize the contradiction in there and understand that there's not necessarily a solid backbone for the church's position on abortion. But likewise, if you are pro-abortion, even though there is an apparent contradiction between these two positions, these two statements, this is still something that you, as it is in the handbook, in Handbook 2, this is still something that you are obligated to abide by. Otherwise, you will be subject to church discipline. So it's just something that you should be looking out for as far as, advocating for abortion, encouraging abortion. You can be pro-abortion, but you're kind of on dicey ground. Like it's one of those things where if you want to maintain good standing in the church without suffering any kind of church discipline, you're kind of in a tough spot based on this contradiction. And if you do find yourself in that position where you are being subject to discipline, you're welcome to use this argument against that discipline, even though again, I'm pro-life. I think life starts at conception. But hopefully, yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts. If you have your own, interesting comments that you want to share, or maybe you've got some information that could help clarify the contradiction between these two statements, that would be great. If you want to put that in the comments below, link to some sources or something, for me to check out, I would appreciate that, and it would help me clarify my thoughts further on abortion. But as of right now, that is my position, and I'll leave you with that.